I'm going to start by doing something I have never done before in a presentation. I'm going to talk a little bit about myself. We all have dots, but not all of us always connect them. And so I was asked to connect some of my personal dots in my family's history to this whole topic that I'm going to talk about, the power of surprise. So I'm just going to dive right in and take you back to the 1920s and 30s in France. My great-grandfather, Jean Puiforcat, was an Art Deco silversmith. His designs live on today at Puiforcat in Paris, and also Puiforcat has been acquired by Hermes as well. Some of his designs. My favorite is the Art Deco chess set. My great-grandmother from France, this is her 1933 Leica camera, which I now own, and she was one of the first professional female portrait photographers. Anyone know who this is? This is not my great-grandmother. Pablo Picasso. She also took portraits of Henri Matisse. And then there's my grandfather, also French. He moved to New York right after World War II and became a fur designer and had some pretty bold furs. This is a spread in Life magazine in the 1960s. These are some of his designs. Natural Russian ermine tails. If you know what ermines are, there's the peace fur coat. Now, he had some bold designs. And at the same time, he was in an industry that was doing some things like making fur coats out of ermine tails. And he decided to push against the industry. And one day he took out a New York Times ad, full page, and said he was not going to ever again make fur coats out of endangered species. And so he was recognized by the World Wildlife Fund as an innovator in the fashion industry. These are some of his designs from that Life magazine spread. This is in his apartment that I was growing up visiting. You may anyone recognize some of the art in the background? Richard Lindner, that's right. One day he was walking down the street. He had his store on Fifth Avenue, and across the street was an art gallery. He walked in, liked some of the art, made a deal with one of the artists, or with the gallery owner and one of the artists, to trade a fur coat for a piece of art. It happened to be a Nevelson. And he became friends with many of the modern artists of the day in New York City. He threw wild parties. Recognize this guy? There's a book that came out on Andy Warhol's life. There is a chapter called Party at Jacques. It's my grandfather. He was a partier. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a partier, but there is some connection there. Now, I do have a cousin who now was influenced with the same dots that I was. And what she does, she's at UCLA. She teaches design. That is a ball about this big. Anyone recognize what it is? It's not a golf ball. She looked at a piece of pollen under an electron microscope. And she then did a 3D rendering, and this is the result of that 3D rendering. She is looking at things under electron microscopes that we can't see with our bare naked eyes and bringing them to life so we can all experience them. Anyone know what this is? You're from Georgia, you should know what this is. It's cotton. It's cotton under electron microscope. These are her designs. It's a blouse that mirrors the structure of cotton as you look at it under electron microscope. This is a wool fiber. Notice the jaggedy edges. This is her sweater that she's designed to bring to life those things we can't see with our naked eyes. So I just share these examples with you because we all have those connection points. And I realized a couple things. First, breakthrough innovations, they provide an element of surprise, delight. But second, and maybe more importantly, in order to create these kind of things, in order for me to write my book, I had to surprise myself. I had to find surprise inside of myself, challenge my assumptions, find a little bit of insight in order to do something that surprises others. And I started to just kind of be more attuned to what I was seeing. This is an example of it. This is a restaurant, and you walk in, normal restaurant, but this is the menu. The menu is a little box with a deck of cards, and each card is a menu item. Now, that's a very small illustration of how to create surprise, but it brings people back. It keeps people talking. There's a viral element to this. Another example. This is a movie theater in Paris. How many people have purchased a ticket for a movie in the last year? Only a third of you? What are you guys doing with your lives? All right, so this movie theater, you go in, you can buy a ticket, but they're doing something in France which could revolutionize a business model here in the US. We haven't adopted it yet. They sell a monthly pass. You can buy a pass for about 30 euros, and you can go as much as you want. Well, typically you won't go alone, so you probably bring a friend. They'll buy a pass, your family. So what they've done is they've created a subscription experience model for going to the movies. Innovation. It's simple. So here's another example. This is a vintage clothing store in San Francisco. Vintage by the pound. You go in and you pick up your clothes and you don't pay per piece, you weigh it. $12 a pound. Huge opportunity here for you guys. Their signage needs a little help. The essence of surprise is that when something happens that we don't expect that's positive, typically we want to understand how it works a little bit more. We're engaged with it. We also want to experience it more. I know there's a desire to have more Pop Rocks right there. So give me more. No, but we want to experience it. Think about the first time you touched an iPad or an iPhone, and you wanted to share that experience with someone else. You said, look at this, because you wanted to get the delight, a piece of the delight from their delight, their surprise. Your effort. So thank you very much, everybody.